Hello. In this video, we're going to talk about the hiding spots on the left side of the map for polygons. Basically, the left side of the map is everything over on the left side. Right, basically the left side, I'm talking about the left outline of the map. So basically all the different hiding spots over here. All the way around the left outline. So we're going to talk about the back left corner first. Starting with these hay bales. This hay bale stack is really similar to what we saw in Desert Village. Right? This is actually really close to the fish structure. Turns out there's a hay bale right here, it forms the fish structure. So that's how you know what this stack looks like. Right? There's a hay bale right here, it's fake. Some other deviations is if you see 3 hay bales in a row, it's fake. If you see a square of hay bales, then it's fake. Also, there should never be 2 hay bales on top of the stack. So if you see something like that, then it's fake. As for these TNTs, the most common spot is to see a TNT in this hole right here. Right, that's basically it. Right, usually you don't see other TNTs hiding here. I guess other things like 3 TNTs in a row on this side of the stack, it's fake. Or 4 TNTs in a row like this, it's fake. I'm not going to worry about anything else though. As for the TNTs over here, usually it's a TNT behind the stack like this. Like 3 TNTs in a row like that. Also, you shouldn't see a square of TNTs like that. That would be fake. Now this TNT structure is actually identical to what we saw in Pirate Island, right? If you recall, it was melons instead. This is identical to it, right? Right? There's a TNT right here, it makes the stack symmetrical, so that's how you know it's fake. You also shouldn't see a TNT behind the stack either. Pretty easy to memorize, right? As for these bookshelves, it's really similar to the hay bale stack, because if there's a bookshelf in this spot, it forms the fish structure, as you can see. Forms the fish structure, if you can sort of tell. And then, of course, the other deviations. 3 bookshelves in a row, or a square of bookshelves like this. It squares it all. That would be fake. As for these anvils, it's not the fish this time, but instead it looks like a bow tie, in my opinion. The spots you should be familiar with is if you see 3 anvils in a row, or 3 anvils in a row. Basically just like that, or if you see 2 anvils on top of the stack. Going to this corner, we have TNTs. This TNT stack is really similar. It's basically the common structure that we've been seeing. So basically, you know, square of TNT, square of TNT, square of TNT, right? That's really all you gotta memorize. There should be nothing else in this thing. I'm gonna call it a thing. As for this furnace stack, I don't know if the furnaces orient themselves correctly, if they hide it here, but you just gotta memorize, you know, a furnace in this spot, or a furnace in this spot. Those 2 spots are really the only thing you have to memorize. As for the bookshelves, right, basically 2 on top of each other, 2 on top of each other. These should be the only bookshelves over here. If you do see a bookshelf, usually it's going to be hiding right here. That's basically it. Now we're going to head into this building and talk about the hiding spots in this building. As for these TNTs, pretty easy. You see 6 TNTs and it's fake. This is usually what it's going to look like. But of course, be familiar, you might see a TNT right here or a TNT right here. You see 6 TNTs and it's fake. As for the anvils, this is really similar looking to the anvil stack that we just went over there. Right? This anvil stack forms the bow tie. The only difference between the anvil stack over here is that it's missing an anvil. It's missing the anvil that would be right here to form bow tie. That's how you memorize a stack. It's basically just the fish structure, right? So you just got to be familiar with all those deviations of the fish structure, right? 3 in a row, and in this particular case, the bow tie, right? You see that would be fake. Also, you see 2 anvils on top of each other. That would be fake. As for the anvils over here, you shouldn't overlook them, right? Obviously, you can't hide as an anvil right here because there's railroad tracks. You can't hide on top of railroad tracks. But you might see anvils between the anvils, like in one of these regions, or an anvil leaning up against the house over here, because that does sometimes happen. Right, and as for the bookshelves over here, pretty easy. It's just 1, 2, 2. I like memorizing that 1, 2, 2, right? We love memorizing things. Well, if you see 2 bookshelves on top of this bookshelf, then it's fake, right? This should be the only bookshelf that doesn't have a bookshelf on top of it, so that's how you know that this would be fake. You don't usually see this, but you sometimes do. 3 bookshelves on top of each other would be fake. Lastly, for this building, we have note blocks. If you do see a note block hiding here, usually it's going to be a note block literally leaning up against the building right here. Right? So basically a no block right here would be fake. That's basically it. I'm not going to worry about any of the other spots too much, but that's really all you got to know. So, yeah, I'm not going to worry about anything else for that. That's basically it. And also, of course, you can get on top of the building. Right? As for the top of the building, right, you have, flower pots can hide on top of this area. And it's a little bit, don't overlook it because it's a little bit, you can't exactly see a flower pot as easy as you think here. It's not as easy as you think to directly see it. You can, of course, find hiders on top of the building. So let me just go. It's probably most important that you know this. They might be launching their bow at you, or they might just literally be moving around. Right? Pretty easy to spot them. But be careful, because if you're a leaper hunter, well, you can't. If you have like 7 seconds to recharge leap, you can't. You can't really go any higher up. So that's basically it for this building. So now we're going to move over to the block piles at this corner of the map. Alright, so heading over here, we have hay bales. We'll start with the hay bales. This is a pretty easy hay bale stack. Basically, a hay bale in one of these 2 spots is fake. You see a square of hay bales like this and it's fake. It's not natural looking, right? That's how you know it's fake. You see 2 hay bales in a row, that's fake. So 2 hay bales in a row, fake. Again, 2 hay bales in a row, that's fake. That's basically it for this hay bale stack. Going to these hay bale stacks is a little bit more complicated, but it's a little bit more common to find hay bales in this stack than it is in that stack, right? Especially behind the stack in one of these 2 spots. It's pretty common, actually, to find a hay bale hiding here, one of these 2 spots. So you should memorize that. You see 3 hay bales in a row on the right side, it's fake. And also 3 hay bales in a row on the left side, then it's fake. Right? If you see a large grouping of hay bales like this, right? This is a group of 6 hay bales, and this would be fake. That's basically it for this hay bale stack. Right. Now, as for pumpkins, right? You like this part? This is good, right? You can't morph into a pumpkin, so you don't have to worry about these pumpkins. So I was about to make a joke, but I didn't want to make it seem like I didn't know that you couldn't morph as a pumpkin. I want to be like, oh, wow, I didn't know you couldn't morph as a pumpkin. No, I'm just kidding. You can't morph into a pumpkin. So basically, you can't morph into a pumpkin, so you just ignore it. Right. Now, we also have this little thing right here. You have 4 cakes on the outline and then 1 cake inside. So basically, if you have 2 cakes inside like that, that's fake. And if you have 5 cakes on the outline, that would be fake. Right? That's basically it for the cakes. Over here, you have 3 cakes and 3 melons. So just memorize the number 3 there. And over here, right, notice there's like this open spot. Right? If you see a really long line of blocks, then you know one of them has to be fake. That's really all it is. Sort of memorize that. Or if you see 3 blocks in a row like that, it's fake. Sometimes you'll see a hider literally right here, usually a furnace, that would be fake. That's basically it for the block piles on the left side of the map. And so basically that's pretty much it for the left outline of the map. And so that's pretty much it.